Hello and good morning. Scott Cahill again, and this post is about the Oroville Dam. Particularly, I'm discussing the blasting that's taking place on the dam. I watched a couple of the blasts on video, and I was kind of surprised at the extent of them and the size of the overall thing. I was kind of surprised they appear to be using ANFO. I'm surprised that they find it acceptable to be blasting on a dam which is containing water. I'm surprised they find it to be acceptable to blast in an area of the dam which has a number of soil issues and a number of stability issues and a number of issues with porting and transmission of water beneath the structures directly above them. Now, I realize the water's not up to the top right now, and I realize that this is not the rainy season. But sometimes it rains when it's not the rainy season. And storms don't care for what's normal. The idea here is to abate the liability that the dam has produced because of very poor maintenance for a very long time. And instead, the evolution of construction is resulting in even more liability. There are two things that can happen here. One is liquefaction, and liquefaction was talked about in a paper that was given. It was entitled Potential for Liquefaction Due to Construction Blasting. It was a proceeding of the International Conference on Recent Activities or Advances in Geotechnical Engineers and Soil Dynamics in St. Louis in 1981 by J.H. Long, E.R. Rise, and A.P. Mekapoulos. What these gentlemen talked about is the same thing that I have talked about in the past. The possibility of soil liquefaction as a result of the waves which are propagated from explosions, shock waves, which are reflected off phreatic surfaces, masses of rock, that kind of thing, and which are exacerbated by timed explosives such as the ones that they're using on this dam. So that you have reflected waves, you have secondary reflective waves, the waves attenuate one another as they're projected through the soils and across, bouncing off the phreatic surface, up or down, transmitted more rapidly through the hydrated soils than through the non-hydrated soils. Potentially causing liquefaction, certainly. The probability of a failure through liquefaction is slight. The probability of damage to the embankment stability by blasting and liquefaction and displacement of soils in those shock waves is very real. There was a document here in Hydro World, March 1st, 2012, how explosives affect embankment dams. And they discussed this, and as I've said before, the concept of blowing up a dam is a frivolous pursuit. We tried to do that, England tried to do that in World War II with some massive bombs. And the truth to it is that dams are very stable things. And if you try and blow one up with an explosion, here's the embankment. If you put an explosive on the embankment and explode it, well, the dam absorbs some of it, but the rest of it goes out into the air. And that's what we found. We found that the bombs were much more effective underwater where they were contained. And the bombs that exploded at or near the surface did very little, made a little black spot on the dam, and did very little. Uncontained explosives do not transmit shock waves well. In those World War II evolutions, we were trying to blow a V-notch in the dam to cause it to overtop to take the dam out. Kind of sad all by itself. But that's what we were doing nonetheless. What we're talking about here, the liquefaction, is a loss, a shear, which is created by displacement of the soil from the shock wave. And liquefaction is a very well-known thing. Certainly it could be initiated by blasting. But the secondary thing, the thing that worries me more, that I believe is much more realistic long-term, is that they're compromising the soil pore structure and the settlement of the soil pore structure within the embankment, within the dam, within the indigenous soils, but more importantly at the drains adjacent to that right groin. And what they're going to find there is that those drains are going to become plugged more readily as a result of this shock wave moving through it. The concept of using significant amounts of explosives to demolish a failed element of a dam in soils that are obviously improper is shocking to me, and I find it unacceptable. And yet that is what's being done right under our noses right now. The other thing that I'm going to talk about in the next video that I do, that I'll try and get done today also, is a little more highly described, and that is the safety of the dam. The evolution of the construction and the completed construction's ability to reduce the liability produced by the dam to the people in the valley. So keep an eye out for that one if you would. Thank you very, very much. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Anyway, it's important that we not lose all of that. It's important that we stay focused on reason and that we develop a foundation of reasonable information, and that's what we build on, and that we not let everything come tumbling down as it has so many times. This needs to be a progressive climb. we need to reach a point where, as mankind and as a nation, we're far ahead of where we are now. These periods of digression need to stop, and we need to do better. Thanks a bunch.